Leave a like for my shark shirt, and also try saying shark shirt 50 times as fast as you can. But no, really, the Pixel 3 has been announced yesterday, and it's a very interesting phone overall. So here are not 5, not 10, not 20, but actually 25 things you need to know about a Pixel 3 before buying it. And even if you're not getting one, those are still some interesting facts. So get some snacks ready. This is going to be quite an interesting video, and enjoy. Okay, so number one, the notch, guys, is real, and I was a bit surprised to actually see this because Google launched the Pixel 3 event ad a day before the actual event, and in that video they included clips from multiple tech channels, including myself, where we basically said that we knew everything about a Pixel 3. So the clip ended with the impression that nope, we were going to completely be surprised at the event and Google was to release something completely different in the biggest marketing scheme ever. However, that never actually happened, and they ended up releasing exactly what we were all saying. I mean, I've been talking about a Pixel 3 design since May, so for the past 4.5 months, and it seems like the design I showed you guys in May was actually the one that ended up happening. So yeah, no notchless Pixel Ultra anytime soon. But yeah, do check out Front Page Tech's story about everything that happened behind the scenes with this whole Pixel 3 leak scandal. It's a really well done story and a few interesting details in that video as well. But what's even more interesting about this massive notch, because yes, the notch, this notch is the biggest one on any smartphone, and yes, the Pixel 3 also has a chin. So what's even more interesting is that a Pixel 3 has no true depth camera system like the iPhone X does on the front. So that was actually Apple's excuse for using a notch that big, but Google is not using that. And still the notch is taller and bigger and thicker. Why? Well, I'll get to that in a minute. However, the good news is that if you don't like the notch, you can actually hide it in the settings. So yeah, if you want to do that, you would have the option to do that and you'll get a much more uniform design, which is actually what I think I'll be doing as well. Now, the first reason why that notch is so big is because of the dual front-facing cameras, and one of them is actually a wide-angle module, which is actually pretty cool because now you can take these group selfies and you can get pretty much everything in the shot. Not necessarily just people, but also scenery, whatever you wish. This camera is really, really wide angle, so I think this is amazing to have. On the back-facing camera, a second wide-angle module lens isn't that much required because you can do panoramas. You can also do that with the front-facing camera, but it's a bit more difficult to do. And then the second reason why that notch is so big is because of the dual front stereo speakers. So we get one on the bottom and one on the top right on the actual notch. And the Pixel 2 XL already had some very, very good speakers, but the 3 and the 3 XLs are now 40% louder and richer than last year. So here's why that notch is there. Also, we have yet to see any teardowns of the 3XL, but my guess is that there's actually a small acoustic chamber inside the notch. My guess, so we'll see about that. But personally, I would actually pick a better design over some amazing speakers on the front. The side speakers still work, so that's what I would personally go for. Design over, really good speakers on the front instead of that big notch. But yeah, let me know in the comments which would you guys pick? And at the event, Google talked a lot about the camera on the Pixel 3, how this camera is the best camera on any smartphone right now. So why is the camera so good? Well, it doesn't have some amazing specs. However, the image processing is just insane on this thing. And that's because Google is the world's largest search engine. They have the best machine learning out there. They spent years making this. So Google's machine learning knows exactly what you have in the shot. If you have, a tree, if you have sky, and so on. So that's the reason why Google's image processing is so good. Google even said that today at the event that the biggest focus right now in the smartphone camera industry isn't the hardware, but the software and the AI. Now, fun fact, did you guys know that a Pixel 3 cannot record 4K 60 video, which is a bit surprising. Yes, it can only do 4K 30. And this is strange because it comes with a Snapdragon 845 processor, just like all the other smartphones, the flagship ones, and all of them can also do 4K 60. The Pixel 3 is the only flagship smartphone with the 845 that cannot do 4K 60 video. Why? Well, we don't really know. Google hasn't said anything about why this is, but my guess is that it's because of HDR video. So the Pixel 3 can do HDR video, and doing HDR video in 4K 60 wouldn't be possible because of the processing power. So Google had to limit that to 4K 30, and they wanted to keep the HDR video consistent in all shooting modes, reason why they probably kept 4K 30 instead of, pushing 4K 60. Also, the front-facing camera can only do 1080p 30 frames per second. For example, the iPhone XS can do 1080p 60, and the Samsung Galaxy S9 and Note 8 can actually do Quad HD 30. Now, the Pixel phones haven't been cheap phones in terms of the price. They've been quite expensive every year, and one of my main complaints was the fact that they didn't come with headphones inside the box to keep the cost low, but at the end of the day, the cost wasn't that low. Now this year we actually get headphones inside the box. We got USB Type-C Pixel Buds inside the box, so I'll be testing those pretty soon in terms of the sound quality, so definitely stay tuned for that. And now something that not a lot of people talk about is that with every single Pixel phone you actually get unlimited storage in Google Photos or Photos and Videos for free at full resolution. Now normally you get unlimited storage at 12 megapixels for photos, so that's the limit, and 1080p for videos, and then you have to pay if you want to get more than that. But with a Pixel 3 you get that for free, unlimited at full resolution up until 2022. Just as an idea, with an iPhone you get 5 gigabytes of iCloud storage, and that's for everything, not just photos, that's for everything. So photos would be obviously less than that. 5 gigabytes versus unlimited on the Pixel. Huge difference. Now, if you have an Android phone, you probably know that updates are basically a myth. Well, not that much with a Pixel phone. So with a Pixel phone, since it's also made by Google, and same goes for Android, you get day one updates for 3 years with every Pixel 3 and Pixel 2, which is quite a big deal. The Pixel phones are basically the iPhones of Android, so to say. They're really fast, really fluid, day one updates, support all the time. Everything just works really, really nicely. That's why I've been using this Pixel 2 as my daily driver on the Android side up until August, when I replaced this with an 09. Now, the Pixel 3, by the way, comes with not 6, not 8, but actually 4 gigabytes of RAM, which I know might seem like not enough for an Android phone, but at the end of the day, the Pixel 2 was really fluid, RAM management was really good as well. So yeah, I don't really think that's a problem. I'll be doing the ultimate ZONEofTECH speed test, so definitely stay tuned for those, and I'll be testing the RAM management. But 4 gigabytes of RAM on a Pixel phone is basically the same as 4 gigabytes of RAM on iOS. The iPhone XS comes with 4 gigabytes of RAM now. Yeah, definitely something interesting that I want to test, because Android is not as efficient as iOS, so yeah, that's something that I'll be testing. But something that I do want to mention is in terms of the battery size. So the Pixel 3 XL comes with a 3430 mAh battery, and the Pixel 3 comes with 2915 mAh battery, which doesn't seem like a lot. But again, a Pixel 2 had a really, really good battery life, just because of the fact that we don't really have that much bloatware, or any bloatware running in the background like we have, for example, Bixby and many others on Samsung phones. I'll definitely be doing some battery charging and battery discharging speed tests, so also stay tuned for those. Now, the Pixel 3 finally comes with wireless charging. I almost dropped this phone. This one didn't come with wireless charging, which was quite of a pain, especially since now the iPhones also support wireless charging, so every daily driver that I have, I can just put it on my wireless charger and just charge it from my desk, apart from this. But yeah, the Pixel 3 and the 3 XL comes with wireless charging. And then Google also introduced a new wireless charger made by Google called the Pixel Stand. And Google said that this is the smartest wireless charger on the market, but it seems like it's not really. It does have some sort of NFC chip, that would be my guess, so that the Pixel 3 can detect it, and it goes into this home hub mode when you're sleeping, so it can show you the time, the weather, and so on. So it's really, really cool. But the Pixel 3 is actually the one that does that, not the charger itself. So essentially, theoretically, if you could take the NFC chip out and put it into a different wireless charger, the same functionality would happen with a Pixel 3. Now, the good news is that the Pixel 3, not the XL, the 3 is actually closer to the XL now in 2018. So, for example, we have OLED displays on both, made by LG this time, and we also have Quad HD display on the Pixel 3 XL and Full HD Plus on the smaller variant, the Pixel 3. In terms of the PPI, we have 523 PPI on the XL and 443 on the Pixel 3. Also, the Pixel 3 does not have a notch, by the way. Now, speaking of the display, something quite interesting is that DisplayMate, who's the largest display testing company and website, they tested out a Pixel 3 and they said that it actually has the best smartphone display on the market, which is quite surprising. The iPhone XS got a title about actually last week, which is even more surprising. So, I don't know. The Pixel 2 had not so great of a display. It was also made by LG, and it had a quite severe blue shift, especially on the early units. Also, fun fact, if you have a Pixel 2 and a Pixel 3, so this applies to both, you get a now playing feature on the always on display. This is quite cool. So when a song is playing in the background, this also works offline, which is even more surprising. It's going to show you the actual title of the song, and then you can save it from there. Also works when it's offline. So that's really cool. And the Pixel 3 now has this pretty cool camera feature called Top Shot. Essentially, it takes a burst, a couple of photos in burst, and then it actually chooses the best shot for that specific scene. So if, for example, not all the subjects smiled, it would choose the one in which all subjects smiled. Same goes for the people who actually had their eyes closed, or when you're trying to jump, it's trying to detect the best photo in the actual burst, and it's gonna suggest you that. So that's pretty cool. And something even cooler, or at least even more interesting, is optical zoom. We have optical zoom kinda on the Pixel 3. So they're calling this super res zoom. It only has one module, so it's not truly optical. And I'm not really sure how well this would work. Essentially, it takes multiple photos and combines those, but still the resolution would be the same, and apparently you can zoom in digitally and the resolution would be higher than before, which is a bit strange. Anyway, you cannot achieve that by combining multiple images. So what the Pixel 3 is trying to do is you're zooming in and it's trying to detect the missing pixels and it fills those up automatically. I'm really curious to testing this out. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for an in-depth camera comparison coming to the channel pretty soon. And now with the Pixel 3, you can have the depth of field adjustment that we have on the Samsung Galaxy Note 9, for example, the Note 8, the S9, and also the iPhone XS. So you can actually adjust the blur of a portrait mode shot on a Pixel phone, finally. Now, with the Pixel 3 and the 3 XL, we do not have 3D touch, which is something that all the iPhones have come with since the iPhone 6s. So a pressure-sensitive display, so you can actually press hard on a specific app and you get more details. Now, this also works on the Pixel, but you just have to hold that specific app longer, which is what Apple uses on the iPads, which do not have 3D touch. So it doesn't have 3D touch, but it doesn't really need to because the functionality is still there. Now, the Pixel 1 and the Pixel 2 came with an aluminum back that had a small glass cutout on the top portion of the back. And now the Pixel 3 comes with a full glass back. Google says that they managed to create those two-tone textures with the glass itself this time. And the glass actually has a soft touch to it, so it feels kind of like a fabric instead of a slippery feel that, you know, regular glass has. However, I've actually seen some images that the black one is very, very prone to scratches. So yeah, you might want to use a case on this just in case. Now, at the event, Google also showed something quite controversial. So they showed a nighttime shot taken with the iPhone XS versus the Pixel 3, and the difference is just day and night, literally. So on the iPhone XS, I don't know, it looks way too dark, so that's a bit suspicious. However, on the Pixel 3, it looks way too bright, so the processing is just insane on that thing. But when you're taking a low light shot, you're taking a low light shot. You're not taking a daytime shot, so you're not trying to achieve that daytime feel, but this is what a Pixel 3 got with the night sight, which is a separate mode in the camera. So not all the shots will look like this, but you have that mode and you can achieve that if you really want to. Also, if you have a Pixel 2 and a Pixel 2 XL, and I believe a Pixel 1 and 1 XL as well, this would be coming in a future update to those phones as well. So yeah, you can try night sight out yourselves. Now, something interesting that a lot of people know about is that a Pixel 3 isn't really, or Pixel phones, they're not really stock Android, so to say. So for example, they have a lot of features which are exclusive to Pixel phones. The camera app itself, night sight, group selfie, the Pixel launcher, for example, all of those are exclusive to Google's own phones. So the stock Android doesn't have any of those features. Also, do you know how on the Pixel, you actually have the camera app, which lets you do the AR stickers, which is pretty cool. They work really nicely and they're really believable, so to say. Now with the Pixel 3, you can also do that with a front-facing camera, and they work really interesting. So for example, they actually react to your facial expressions, and they would react to your movement as well. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, a few mixed opinions about the Pixel 3 and the 3 XL. The thing that I'm mostly excited for is testing out the camera, so definitely stay tuned for some ultimate ZONEofTECH camera comparisons. Check out the previous ones that I've done with the iPhone XS versus the Note 9, the iPhone XS versus the iPhone X, and also the iPhone XS versus the Pixel 2, not the 3, if you want to see how the Pixel 2 compares with the iPhone XS. Pretty surprising results. Also, subscribe to notifications if you're new to the channel, tap that bell icon to get notified whenever a new cool video comes out. And yeah, this has been pretty much it. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the Pixel 3. Do you think that the notch is ugly? You can hide it. And what do you think of the improvements over the Pixel 2? Worth it or not? Yeah, thank you for watching. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Some pretty cool videos coming out this week. Definitely stay tuned for those. ZONEofTECH, signing out. Cheers.